budget. Now, the purpose behind the budget this year was, well, there's a number of purposes, of course, to raise money, isn't it? But also, they want to get the over 50s back to work. And it's a big issue, really, isn't it? That since the pandemic, a lot of people between the ages of sort of 50 to about 65, 70, many of them have just given up work. One, because they can afford to. Two, they might be poorly and ill. We don't know the reasons why. But if the economy wants to grow, which obviously is always the aim, isn't it, then we need to get those people back to work. So that's what Jeremy did in his budget. That was his purpose behind it. As a result of it, he gave a few things away. The pensions was the big one, wasn't it? In a nutshell, if you've got a personal pension or a SIP, some kind of defined contribution pension, you can throw a lot more money into it now. There's no cap on the total pot anymore from next year onwards. And he's increased the amount of money you can pay into it each year. But also, interestingly, for people that have already retired or have taken their lump sums and some of their pension, they have this reduced contribution limit. It stops people just putting money in to get the tax relief. And that's gone up as well, which is very generous indeed. So it means that somebody who's stopped working, taking a pension maybe, if they fancy going back to work, maybe part-time or as a consultant or whatever, then they can, and they can contribute back to their pension still to allow further enjoyment in their retirement. So that's the purpose behind what he did. So 5 things for you which will make you think. I think they will anyway. So let's head over to my my smaller whiteboard today. I'm going to use a couple of whiteboards today with you. It's just a smaller whiteboard. Let's give you 5 impacts for mortgage advisors. The first one, I think, and we'll put this one over here, number 1, is the later life lending market. Now, we talk about the later life lending market a lot, don't we, as opposed to equity release. Later life lending marketplace. Equity release is part of the later life lending market, but we're talking here about lending money to people in later life without being rude to them as well. So what's happening here is if more people are working beyond retirement dates, etc., they're in the later life area, and they borrow money, they take out a mortgage of some description, then of course they can start to afford interest payments and lump sum payments. So when you're talking to people in the later life lending market, don't just think equity release, roll up, think RIOs, hybrids, where people can make interest payments and also capital payments, because you can make up to 10% typically a year on your equity release mortgage. So you do need to chat about that area to help people to prevent their mortgages from capitalizing out of control. So that's one of the impacts that will certainly help you as a later life advisor as well. The second one really is pension contributions. I call this the pension pot. There you go, the pension pot contributions, because people can put money now into their pension beyond retirement if they're taking their income. There's a lot more, the limits are much more generous. So if somebody came across a lump sum, they could pay that in, subject to their income, their salary, etc. There's also carry forward rules as well going on. But they could ostensibly pay more money into their pension now from lump sums, from savings, if they've got the salary to support it. Possibly equity release, because the whole point about pension contributions is you get whacking great big tax reliefs, up to 45% if you're an additional rate taxpayer. And of course the additional rate threshold's coming down next year, so a lot more people are going to be additional rate taxpayers. So you get your basic rate at source, but you claim the rest of it. That's a hell of an uplift on an investment. It's a massive uplift, isn't it? Think about it. So if somebody's got savings, or they've got possibly equity release, you could even look at that. You'd have to talk to the accountant, of course, and obviously you need to talk to a financial advisor. You might be one anyway, but there's certainly an opportunity there to think about as an equity release financial advisor as well. The other one is a possible, I don't know, it's the buy-to-let market I'm talking about here. Now, the buy-to-let market is dominated by professional landlords. I'm talking about the part-time landlord, the person, she's got 1 or 2 properties maybe for her retirement. Now, the tax issues for buy-to-let are getting more and more onerous. And as you know, of course, you've got capital gains tax and your exemptions going down next year, so you'll have to pay more capital gains tax. The dividend allowance is also going down next year as well. So you're going to have to pay more tax on your dividends. So if you bought the property for a limited company, then you're going to have to pay more taxes, obviously, on the dividend side, CGT, if you're a personal investor. What that might mean is that these part-time landlords that took out property to fund their retirement might now move over to a pension because the limits are more generous, etc. Now, obviously, you can't talk about that as a mortgage advisor, but you do need a referral conduit for a financial advisor. You might be a financial advisor yourself. So you might see a few part-time landlords just giving up the property and putting the money into a pension as maybe a lump sum or something. So think about that. Talk about that to your clients. Be careful of, obviously, advice area that you give there. So that's something to think about. Here's the other one. I'll sneak it down the bottom here for you. Let's put over here number 4. There you go. Let's sneak that into the bottom for you. This one's to do with the other thing that Jeremy Hunt did in the budget, which was to continue to increase corporation tax. Now, corporation tax, corp tax there, is going up to 25% for larger firms, really. It's for profits of more than 50k, and then it's tapered up to 250. So basically, more corporation tax is going to be paid by larger companies, and small companies too, because it is tapered. So a small one-person band who has a limited company to operate her business in, her consultancy maybe, she'll make more than 50 grand in profits, therefore she'll start paying more corporation tax. Now here's the thing, as a protection advisor, do you advise protection? Do you advise business-related protection? I'm talking about relevant life insurance, for example, which is bought through a limited company, and the limited company pays the premium. You can get, you can offset your profits, of course, and reduce your corporation tax. So with a higher rate of corporation tax, your relevant life assurance would actually reduce that tax burden for your customer. So rather than do it personally for them from their own bank account, get the money from the business bank account and put it through the business. I mean, talk to them, talk to their accountant. Income protection, you can do that way as well. So there's lots of ways in which you can get benefits paid for by the limited company, thus offsetting corp tax, which is going up. Now be careful, you're not a tax advisor. We get all that, of course we do. So you need to talk to their accountant, etc., etc. But these things help you to look at the angles and things like that, which make all the difference. What else is going on here? I think you're going to have later life marketplace changing a little bit now as well, with people working longer, maybe good incomes coming in. Somebody wants to raise money from equity release or later life, they can afford to make payments as well. So I think what you might see, I don't know, it's just a long shot really, number 5, is you might see more later life lending like RIOs, for example, being used to buy homes. Now think about it logically. If you're a customer and you've gone back to work, or you've got yourself some consultancy work and you're earning some good money and you're pumping money into your pension, etc., all looking good, you might just want to move house. You know, why not? There's plenty of mortgages available to people in their 70s, 80s, particularly if they've proven they can work on beyond retirement. And these mortgages, these later life lending mortgages like RIOs, for example, which require interest-only payments, or even mortgages, roll-up mortgages with no payments. You can use them to buy property. So maybe your customer could buy a bigger property. Maybe they move down to the coast where it's more expensive. Maybe they could buy a property and take out an equity release mortgage to purchase the property. Probably a RIO because they can make interest payments because they're earning money. That's something to think about. Don't just think about people moving home who are under 65, People over 65 just downsize to the seaside in a bungalow, It's a bit old-fashioned thinking, isn't it? Time's changing. This pension boost, the government's push to get more people back to work now, people working on till 70, 75. It's not uncommon nowadays. So think about lending to those people for aspirational purposes, to buy a new house, for example. I think that's fifth point for you to take on. So there's a few impacts for you as an advisor, a mortgage advisor mostly, on the budget. That's how it affects you. And you need to talk about these things to your customers. It's a great excuse to get on the phone and book an MOT. We talked about that before. And then talk about some of these things. Hey, Mr. Brown, let's have a chat for 20 minutes online on video, and I'll give you 5 things that you might be thinking about now as a result of the budget with regards to your mortgage and your financing. So yeah, get talking to people. It's certainly the way forward.